worried when we get segregated from everyone else, how I'm going to get his medication. And I've got a little baby, a little girl, that I'm willing to fight everyone for. So, look out, world.
And what's happened is that the nurses have said, or the doctor said from the hospitals, that if she has the vaccine, it could kill her, because they're not sure, because the seizures, she's having a lot of seizures, and they won't give her an exemption because they're afraid of the government.
Basically need to have all this infection cleared out.
All right.
Because it's spreading very quickly, and if we don't get top this very quickly, it's going to keep spreading, eventually spreading to my bloodstream if it hasn't already. But we don't know if it has. I was waiting on results for that, and with scans I needed to get results for that. I'm not allowed to get these scans. I'm not allowed to get this surgery needed because I'm unjabbed.
Okay, that music there was done by a violinist I met today. His name is at the start. I'm not going to try and remember it because it's a complicated Eastern Bloc European name. But we're going to talk about love and integrity today. It's just going to be myself, and I'm going to bring in a couple of guests who I've become big fans of. First one I'm going to bring you right now is Blues Matthews from Perth. Hey, Blues. We saw your video.
Hi.
And then Aaron James from Wollongong. And
how you going?
Good. And I'm bringing both of these in because what I've seen by talking to them both of them have a lot of love for their family. Both of them have a lot of integrity, and both of them are facing very difficult times because of the current cruelty of our system. So let's start with you, Blues. Fill us in what you've been going through with your job and everything.
Yeah, so I'm a mum of 3. I've got oldest son, he's just turned 13, so he just started high school this year. And then I've got my middle son who's 11, he's got Down syndrome. And then I do have a little COVID baby. I got pregnant at the start of last year, so I spent all of last year being pregnant. So now I've got a little girl, a little baby that I probably am more worried about her because she has to grow up in whatever world is going to be at the end of whatever this is. I work at Subway. I work for different Subways for the last 12 years, and I think I was the only one that was attending the protest, and I'm the only one out of the 7 stores my boss owns, that is going to be ineligible to work come when the mandate kicks in. I think it's December the 31st. So then I'll have
December
no job.
the 31st is the mandate. Okay.
Apparently, I don't know. He's actually not even too fussed. He's just like, I know that you're following it, so let me know when you can't work, basically. I'm like, okay. Well, I don't know if that's an actual law or what. I'm actually, trying to figure out if the mandates are real, if it's lawful.
Oh, it's real.
It's real.
Oh, it's real.
So
I
I've
don't
been following.
I don't know if it's lawful, but it's real.
No.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
wrong.
I'll come back to you in a sec, Blues. And first off, Blues, where did you get that great name? Who called you Blues?
So my parents were really into the music back in the day,
Yeah.
so that's where they come
So you
from.
could have been called Jazz, you could have got called Blues. Okay. Aaron.
There you go.
Now we've had a bit of a chat, and let's talk about, as much as you're comfortable, about your family and your circumstances.
Well, there's 6 of us in the family. I was pretty much stay-at-home dad, and my partner was working at the time. She's working in a nursing home, and she worked all the way up to the mandate date. That was, I believe it was the 17th of September, and the day before, she only done like weekend work, but she was working really well. It helped with her mental health and everything. for being a mum for so long and then getting out into the workforce. It was great for her. It worked really good with the family. She'd done all the weekend stuff and done extra shifts. And she was just great. She was blooming. She suffered from anxiety herself really bad. And she just went really well with working and just going over leaps and bounds just with herself, Every day she'd come home talking about the residents and everything. And she just loved her job. And then
So
it just got to the point.
happened?
It got to the point where they just said, look, this is the law of what they're putting through. They're going to either mandate it or they're going to make it mandatory. And you've just got to comply. And
Now,
she was like, I don't want to.
Yeah, tell us why. Tell us why. This is how we got talking. Why?
Yeah,
Why does she not want it?
Her personal reasons were years ago on her medical side of things. She had bacterial meningitis and she survived that. That was pretty bad. She nearly died when she was about 22. And then not long after that, she had a couple of scans done. And there was another medical episode where she had cervical cancer. So we were told that we're never going to have kids. And she's already had one from a previous, and I became stepdad. And I've been stepdad since my eldest has been, she's 18 now, so since she was 3.5. So
and you're a truck driver, right? Before that, you were a truck driver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was doing interstate and stuff like that. Part of the reason why I put the job on hold and done a few local work so I could come home and help out with family at home. It was just probably the best thing to do. The 2 white lines of nothingness is always going to be there. So I may as well, just go back to the family life. A lot of blokes just said, the family will survive, just keep going. Nah, there's no me, there's no family. There's too many divided families in this place, and, I just didn't want to be one of them.
Yeah.
But I did what I could at that time. But back to my partner, with her work, it was just straight up, how should I say, they were just rude about it. They were just like, no, there's no messages no more, there's no communication no more. There's been outbreaks in that particular nursing home. Yeah.
So there was no leeway at all. It was just, you're gone. Do it or you're gone. That's it.
Do it,
don't
comply,
care.
That's it.
Don't care about your circumstances. Don't care about your personal plights. And did she try to get an exemption? One of these rare unicorn exemptions that don't exist?
There'd be no point. The doctor would have lost his license.
Yeah. Well, this happened before. Go on. We had someone else on the other. Someone else told me the other day they went to get an extension on their exemption, and literally the doctor walked out of the room, walked to the receptionist, and told the receptionist to call the police. So he was. I don't know if he thought she was a plant. So it's bonkers. Blues. With what's it like there with Perth? Like family members, are family members all family over here in Melbourne? Non-stop, we hear stories of mothers telling their children.
So I had issues with my family once I started researching, doing my own research as to what was in this vaccine. I started obviously finding all of these horrible things out. I started sending them to my mum, started sending it to my brother, the 2 closest people to me. And they were really not impressed that I was sending these things to them. They just were like, what are you, have you lost your minds? And I'm just like, no, I'm taking these things very seriously. Obviously I care about you. I wouldn't have sent it to you otherwise. But then they got to a point where, sorry, I had a notification.
That's all right.
Got to a point where they were like, don't send me anything. And I was like, well, if you can't take the information that I'm sending you as any form of truth, I just found that really offensive. That they wouldn't take anything that I said as truthful at all. Or that, if anything, they were, in spite of what I was saying, they were like, no, there's nothing, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with this system. They just think there's nothing wrong with what's going on. And it blows my mind.
So there's an obedience.
I've only just started talking to my mum. Yeah, she's only just started talking to me. She's like, I can't believe this has happened to us. And I'm like, I can't believe it either. But I feel quite strongly with what I've looked into that, there's something wrong going on. She's just oblivious.
And what's your heritage, Blues? Are you married?
So I'm from, Yes, I'm Māori, so I'm from New Zealand. So we've been in Australia for the last. I had my son here so for like 13 years. We've been in
So, but
Australia.
would that your community is pretty strong, isn't it? Separating your community would be a rare thing, wouldn't it? Or is that
Yeah.
mythical?
No, I actually, even looking at the information from back home, there's a lot of families at war. There are a lot of the Māori culture are pushing it as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of divide in all families,
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
and
all
I wouldn't have
cultures.
thought
It's all the
my
way
family
through.
at all. Yeah.
Yeah. And is it? How
I
many
know that I
brothers and
do put
sisters?
a. I've got two brothers, but one's back in New Zealand. But the one that lives here, he has to get it for his job. My mum has to get it for her job. I've been looking for a job for her because I can quit my job. Luckily, my husband can support me, but
Oh,
she
great.
needs her job. I'm like, you need to move in with me. Like, we need to work around it. Like, there are options out there if need be, but I just hate that she's backed into a corner. She has nowhere to go.
A lot of people are like that over here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why don't you talk about what it's like there? Can you talk about? You were telling me about the supermarket. Where you're going through the supermarket, Aaron?
Oh yeah, you go to the normal supermarket when it's in lockdown and all the shops are shut. But then just after, say, they open it up for Freedom Day, it's pathetic because all the shops are open. They've got their little grand little tick on the window, and they've got one worker in there and no one in the shops. And
There's no.
I know the people that work in some of the shops, like the local bag shops and say clothes shops or whatever, and there's no one gone in. But the whole time you've gone in and done, say, your Woolies shop or your Coles shop or wherever you go, no one's gone in there, and they're there all day. There's lineups, and out the front of, say, like the local hairdressers. That's just ridiculous. But they're social distancing, they're doing their thing, but it's still dead. It's still dead. They say it's open. Woolies and Coles, it's all open, but everywhere else is still dead. The shops are open, but if you're vaccinated, half the time you don't really want to just walk in. The jewelers and stuff are open, but it's just weird.
They haven't started doing that in Perth yet, but it's almost like a ticking time bomb. Like, I go into a shop now, and it's like, oh, this is great. I can come into the shop today, but come next year, I'm going to be banned.
No, I'm still waiting on shoes.
That's happened here.
Yeah.
Blues. It's we live in an apartheid city now. I still can't get my head around the fact that that's the case. I was at a protest today outside Parliament, and after we finished, the normal thing would be let's go get a coffee, and we can't do it. So we all go sit in the park. And
I make sure I watch the lives and I follow what's happening over there, because that's exactly what's going to be happening in Perth, and people over here need to, I guess, wake up to what's happening in Australia. We all need to come together and be fighting it from all parts of Australia, especially.
What's your premier's name? Is it McGowan?
Yes, McGowan.
Yeah, because they're saying that he's going to try outdo Dan, because they seem to be trying to outdo each other. Even in your country of origin, New Zealand, Arden is celebrating the fact that she's going to make New Zealand apartheid, which is this is foot
honestly,
rot flats.
It blows my mind.
Crazy, people. This is
I
crazy.
feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone, and this is a movie that can't possibly be real, and yet here we are fighting for our freedoms. And the people around me are just like so blasé about it, like they're just like not fussed. I'm like, are you serious? I might be ineligible to go to any of the places that we used to, so easily go to in a very soon, like very short amount of time. Like, I feel like it's just looming. This darkness is looming in my future, and my kids' future, and everyone's future. I just don't know, what are we doing to stop it? I follow these lives all the time. It gives me hope, but I really want to just find a community. Because I'm really worried about what we're going to do for our kids. Like, I've got my son at high school. He's getting pressured. He probably won't be able to go to high school next year. I'm getting news that kids, need to have the V. So I'll be looking into homeschooling ideas. And then my son with Down syndrome, all his appointments last year were pushed back anyway. He just gets checkups, but they were all pushed back for like hearing, for his glasses, for his thyroid. I went to the doctors today and I said, can I please have another script. I need to stock up on a thyroid medication. And he knew exactly. I didn't even have to say anything, but he knew what I meant. And he gave me a script, and he was like, "Oh, we'll get some bloods done. We'll just make sure he's on top of his health." And yeah, he knows that come next year, we won't be allowed into the doctors, or we won't be allowed into his hospital appointments. And that's a huge concern for me.
You're not alone. You're
No.
not alone. It's quite staggering. It's quite staggering how, like when we started the music at the start, of the inflexibleness of it, but the cruelty being done not just by the leaders, but by the bureaucrats pushing it. No one's actually going, "Hey, I'm not doing this." It's like they're all going this way, even though they know their moral compass is saying, "Hey, we're going the wrong way. We shouldn't be like this." But anyway, Aaron, are you comfortable talking about your son who has issues and the story?
Yeah,
you were telling me?
my son. I'm not going to mention his name, but my son, he's
No, that's
8,
cool.
and he's autism. He's got autism, and a lot of people don't understand it, and they just think they know what it is because they think they know someone with ADD or something like that. It's completely different. It's a whole lifestyle. It's a whole lifestyle change. When you've got a special needs child, and you'd know yourself, Blue, that it changes the whole family. It's not just, oh well, you've just got to do particular things. You've got to prompt them in getting up in the morning and how to do stuff and that. Like he's 8 and he's still having a little bit of trouble of doing day-to-day needs. Like you can still get changed and stuff like that, but the enjoyment of just say colouring in, only just this year alone he's achieved that. That's awesome. Today he was at his OT appointment, he was painting, he was enjoying himself, and he's never really been able to do that sort of stuff because he hasn't been able to just get his hands around it. So that's kicking goals every day for that. But through the lockdown, we've been great with our OT. She's amazing. Sorry, it's my other son running around at the moment. Loves Deadpool.
They're kids.
Yeah, I know.
Kids do. Can you tell us that story? This is what I loved. You really made me smile about when he's out, because you said that he doesn't talk much, and now when he's out, he talks a lot. But what he actually talks about?
He describes the spots on the ground. He goes, "You've seen those cartoons? Don't stand in those spots on the ground. The social distance spots." He goes, "Something bad's going to happen," and he's just like, "Just don't stand in them. Something bad will happen." And like, if you go to stand like not on the spot, a lot of people kind of like frown on you. And he was just so blasé about taking the kids out and that sort of atmosphere. Take them down the shops or anything like that, we just can't do because it's just loud noises that just
And
get
you
his
said the
ears.
hand on the rail. He wasn't allowed.
Yeah. I said, "Mate, just don't put your hand on the rail." And he's like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "Well, there's germs and you don't like putting the hand sanitizer on." And half the time, if you go anywhere with him, he goes to put the hand sanitizer on, you've got to look away because he's going to flick that stuff. If you've ever got that in your eye, it stings. And yeah, no, they used to do that every morning at school. They'd go to put the hand sanitizer on them as they walk in. I don't know if they're still doing it at most schools, but at ours they still are. And yeah, it's just little things that he's coming out and doing.
But as you were saying, it seems to be like you said, there has to be structure there to help. And how is that being affected by COVID? With that, is he benefiting from the new laws, or is he?
No, how it affects an autistic child that needs to be prompted every day on, okay, your clothes are laid out for you, your pajamas are laid out for you. Like, we're very structural. We just follow suit with myself, partner, and the kids all do the same. But he's just very structured in his day. Like, he's got his school clothes laid out now and everything like that, ready to go to school. But it affects them. How do you prompt a child in lockdown to say it's going to be okay? We're going to be able to go out today. Oh, I want to go to the park. Sorry, Dad said no, I can't go to the park. Why can't I go to the park? Well, you don't know what you're going to catch. You don't know if you're going to get sick from another kid.
What about something as simple, and this is to both of you, same to you, Blues, which will be next year. Say you're out and your kids want an ice cream and you're not allowed in the ice cream shop.
Well, that's the thing, you can't. I can't do that now.
With Mason, I've always been really social, and I've taken him out into the community because I want people to see, you know, this kid with Down syndrome. He is just like everyone else, and I've always treated him just like everyone else. And he is quite a social little boy, you know, he talks really well, he can be quite cheeky. But now those opportunities are going to get taken away from us. I won't be able to take him out. I don't know how he's going to be learning how to be in the community. The community is not going to see people with disabilities if, you know, this is the way that we're going. It's
Can I
just
show?
going to stop
Can I show
us.
people his? Can I show people his picture, Blues? Because here he comes. There he is. So I used to work with the Down syndrome people. They're great spirits to be around. Usually, they're just you know, they're just joyous.
Oh, he's
you
hard
know?
case. He's hard work sometimes. And that's another reason why I was really grateful for my job, because I only work weekends, but it is such a joy to go there every weekend and just have a break away from that mum life.
Yeah.
And that's why I did go to work every weekend with the passion. Like, my boss is, you know, really happy with the way that I work for him. So he is really disappointed that I'm leaving. But I guess in some ways he has no choice. He wants to keep me on, but like, I guess the law's stopping me from staying employed.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm not sure.
How much pressure are you finding down for you to get vaccinated, Aaron, in Wollongong?
To get to the point, for me getting vaccinated, I just don't want to do it, but I may have to do it just to support the family. I may have to go back to being the breadwinner and have to put myself at risk, the same as a lot of other families. And if something does happen, a medical episode or not, I hope not, but if I did get the vaccine, I'd have to sacrifice myself for the good of the family. And then that means that I'd only be able to go into, say, Kmart or Big W or places like that. Like, I've still got shoes for my kids on an order for over a week and a half now from Kmart. You know, hurry up, just drop them off. You know.
So you're not allowed in. You gotta have them dropped off.
Yeah, click and collect's gone, and so it's Kmart online, and they're like, well, we've got to do it from the warehouse. I'm like, well, I'm not vaccinated, and I need shoes for my kids. You know.
And at the moment, as I go to the shops, I am buying things in like doubles and triples or for the next size up, because I'm so worried that I'm not going to be able to take my kids to the shops and buy them essential, you know, clothing or whatever they're going to need. I'm stocking up on everything. And it's scary, you know, and it's
so
like
you're actually planning for that. You're actually planning for this. Like,
I'm planning for the worst. Yeah, I have to. Like, you know, these are my kids. I'm trying to be as responsible as I can, and I am planning for the worst and hoping for the best. But yeah, I'm Googling what how to naturally heal, to treat his thyroid, or I'm Googling, like, you know, homeschooling and laws and human rights. Like, I just don't even know who I am anymore. And I'm watching lives. I'm following politicians. I'm like following the government. Like, I'm trying to do whatever I can as a mum to inform myself, to inform our families. Like, what do we do from here? I'm so lost.
How do you think, in, you know, when we had this pandemic and all the things, we're all in this together, how has we are all in this together now become, you're allowed to hate those who have decided not to get vaccinated? You're allowed to hate them. You're allowed to blame them. You're allowed to shame them, be condescending. You're allowed to ostracize them for your lives. It's now okay. The state is approving the destruction of their lives. They're basically giving you two options. You want freedom, you either comply or you suffer carnage. And the carnage is losing your job and having to survive any way you can. I'm having loads of people telling me they're going bush. Like, I think they think there's this great untamed bushland out there ready to support them. I don't think they've ever seen the Australian bush, because it doesn't literally support anything. It's extraordinary. What has happened? Is it all in your opinion? Is it the fear? Is it our lead?
I try and have conversations with people like these. I try and have these sort of conversations with people and like discussing, and they just don't want to have a bar of it. People don't want to talk about the bad stuff, because once they admit what's happening is wrong, and they're allowing it, you know, people
They
that,
avoid it.
you know, they're avoiding it, on purpose. They want to be ignorant. So that, and you know, and I sometimes even I'm like, I wish I didn't know so much. I wish I could go back to, you know, 6-8 months ago where I wasn't even thinking along these lines, and just live in ignorance. But I can't. I have to face, you know, whatever is coming at us. And I've decided that if I'm going to face it, then I might as well just take all the backlash and just face it as strong as I can. But it's hard. It's really hard at the moment. I don't even know who my true friends are, and some of the friends that I thought were true friends, I've lost. You know,
You've
and
lost
you hear
them.
it from everyone, though. Yeah, I've had people message me and say, "Oh, I can't follow you on Facebook anymore because of what you're posting," and all I'm doing is sharing. I don't need to put my beliefs on anyone else. But if I put the information out there, you know, and you read it, and that, you know, changes your mind or puts suspicion in your mind, then I've achieved my goal. But yeah, they don't like it.
Is it
You finding
the same, Aaron?
Yeah, you find out who your true friends are. Like one morning, I just got a message from a friend, and it's, how is it in lockdown life? And I messaged back, and I was like, lockdown life? What do you mean? Well, I'm double vaxxed. I'm like, yeah, I know you're double vaxxed, and I can't come and see you. I don't, you know, want to go near you because you got a young child as well. It's my godson, and it's just the point where it's like, why write this sort of stuff? Why give me this sort of stuff? And it's like, I'd rather just, do I have to walk away from these people? Or so I just completely just ignored the person and blocked it out for the whole day. And then I got the phone call, the abrupt phone call, you avoiding us. And it's like, no, I'm not avoiding you. You're turning around and causing a fight. You're picking a fight already. And you'll see a lot of friends, they'll rock up and they'll say, "G'day, how you going?" And then that conversation will come about, and you kind of like try to dodge it and avoid it. But there's no point avoiding it anymore, because you've got to be an advocate for your children, and that's what everyone is. They're an advocate for somebody else. I am, you are, everyone is an advocate for their children. And you're only trying to stand up for your family and try to do the right thing. Like at the moment, you're, you know, say 5 months behind, say, where I am at the moment, where my partner lost at work. Your hubby's going to have to support you. I'm going to have to sacrifice myself to get the jab. I don't know if your hubby's got the jab or not. He may have to get the jab to support the whole lot of yous, you know, and then you're just going to start having friends and family saying, "Oh, you should, you know." I've even had my own father say, "Look, you know, I'll give you a couple $100, you know, if you're doing it tough, but please go get the jab." Myself and my partner, I'm like, no, I want to see more.
Don't get the jab to protect you from COVID. Just get the jab because the state's telling you want a life. Get the jab.
Yeah, and you can have these freedoms, and you can be able to take your kids out to places and fun parks, and there's like a showground down the road, like we're in a country town, and it says down the bottom in small print, double jab people only. And it's like, wow. Like over here, we've got this radio station that runs this convoy, and it's bikes and cars, and it's pretty well known, and they've had to move it from the 25th of November to the 5th of December, because they know for a fact they're going to have no crowds. No one's going to be able to participate. No one can help with the charity event. So that's why they've had to move it. They've had to move this whole thing back, because that's when our freedoms are given back on the 1st of December. It's just wrong.
Can I ask, when you guys were growing up, were you ever told that you had to do anything for your freedoms?
No.
No.
But now this is the new normal, where freedoms is basically a jump through a hoop.
Yeah.
They're trying to normalize a lot of things, and it's not normal. It is not normal to discriminate against people for their choices. I've turned around and told people, "Oh, I don't want it for, you know, my religious belief," and they're like, "Oh, you're religious?" I'm like, "It's none of your business. Like, it doesn't matter if I was or not." I am thinking really religiously lately, though. Like, I just feel like I need to turn to someone, to, you know, to a higher power. Like, there's something, I don't know, there's something just, not sitting right in the world, and we're just in the middle of this battle.
We actually talk on the show whether a lot of people talk about it being a spiritual battle, and we talk about the spirit of Australia. And what did Australia mean to you growing up, Aaron, that you sort of seeing is different from how it is now?
Well, you don't see much kids out and about. You see them all on their scooters, but years ago when I was a kid growing up, you'd have all your mates over with push bikes and hanging out down the beach and that. And now you see any kid out there. I've even seen kids, like I'm on a corner, and I see kids get pulled over by the coppers, and they're like, "What are you doing out?" You know, that's through the lockdown. Like they've lifted restrictions at the moment, but we don't know how much freedoms that the jabbed have got, and the unvaccinated or the unvaxxed. We got nothing. We've got to jump through all these rings. But growing up as a kid, you know, I never seen any of it. You know, it was great. You know, you'd be able to go run amok and hang out with your friends and go down the beach. And, you know, I wasn't a rat bag, but, you know, I was just being a kid. Now, to have your kids at home for like 5 months in a lockdown, and you're trying to say to them, it's all right, you can't go to the beach because we're a bit worried that we're going to get, you know, asked by the policeman why you're down the beach, or can't go to the park because no one's at the park but you're the only one, and they could drive past, or a person that lives across the road from the park down at the lake could turn around and say, well, there's people there playing, they should be at home. You know, there's always these people that are going to dob. You know,
the dobbing is new. We have to admit that.
The dobbing is so bad. Like, you know, you go to do something and it's, oh, you know, they're doing this or they're doing that, and it's just people dobbing. It's just ridiculous. Like, people are just going to stop living under a rock and realise that you were born into this world with, you know, lungs and a brain and all these things, and your conscience and is your soul talking to you. And it's just ridiculous that you've got to jump through these rings to just do all this fucking crap.
Oh, it's just so hard to not get angry.
It is.
It is.
I want to swear and rage, but I can't.
Blues. Can I? Oh, you can swear on this show. Blues. Nah. Can I just say, Blues? Do you feel that your body is your property? Because what the state is saying now
it is my property.
Yeah.
No, this is my body. And I've always been big with my kids, you know, when they were younger and getting sick, their natural immunity was always going to kick in, and the more they got sick when they were younger, the stronger the immune system has been. And, you know, I don't want to jinx myself, but the older they've gotten, the less sick they've ever been, to the point where they've ever been sick for a couple of years. And I'm all about that natural immunity. I don't know if that's been brought up. You know, my dad really instilled that in me, and he's really against this whole vaccine. And as soon as he told me he was against it, I was like, yeah, I know I'm on the right path of fighting it. It doesn't feel right. That's your father, did you say? Yeah, my dad. Yeah, he's back home, and you know, and he's trapped back in New Zealand. It's quite bad as well. It's sort of just up to gear where they aren't allowed into the stores as well, because if they're not vaxxed. And so he's quite a big events goer, and he can't go to any of his events. And yeah, they've just said, well, his job, he needs it as well. So we're all trapped in a corner.
What do you think is one way? What way do you think is one way as a community we could change things?
I've already been trying to reach out to other mums. I feel like mums can be trapped because we don't want to put ourselves in a position where we're letting our families, I don't know, you know, might be exposed. So I know a lot of mums are quiet. I'm not, I've got a big mouth. But I'm trying to get all the mums together, because we need to talk about what we're going to do for our kids next year. Like, I've already seen today that they're going to, you know, the talk is that they're going to make it mandatory for them to have their vaccines next year. So I will be homeschooling. So I need to get like all these communities together so that we can make our own community. And well, that's the talk. And WA, they're going to make it mandatory for the high schoolers. Which is sad, because my son's only just started high school and he's thriving. He loves he loves it. And he's just gonna, be stuck at home with me. So,
my daughter's going to high school next year, and we're just a bit worried. Like, she's first week back, and we're a bit worried. Oh, she has to wear a mask because she's not 12. She's only 11. So they're like, no, you don't have to. But when you go to high school, you have to. And she's like, okay. And then the school may put up a mandate like yours. they haven't really put it up here yet that they have to be vaccinated because they're 12.
So
Sorry.
So they have to wear the primary school doesn't have to wear masks, but the high school they have to wear masks.
Yeah, they do. The high schools have to wear masks. One sec. Mel,
That's right.
front door.
Can you, Blues, can you tell me how much
Sorry.
COVID's in Perth at the moment?
I don't think we have any. We've got no community cases. If we do have cases, it's in the hospital. But I don't know because I don't follow the fake news stations anymore. Once I started realizing that everything they were saying wasn't relevant to what was actually happening, and then all the blatant lies. So, yeah, I don't know. I just know that obviously we don't have masks, we don't have lockdowns at the moment. And that's why I was waiting for this whole mandate to kick in, because I've been following what's been happening. And I've been, I've been saying, like, whatever happens over in Melbourne is going to come over here. And then, yeah, a couple of days later, Mark Gowan had his announcement. And because I've been at work telling everyone what was going to happen, I was like, yeah, I probably won't be here when they vaccinate, when they make it a mandate. And they're like, oh, that won't happen over in WA. And then, yeah, the next week it happened.
No,
how do people react? How do people react to it?
Oh, yeah, we've had, there are a lot of snap protests coming up, and then we've got a planned protest coming up as well. But
you've had some massive protests.
Yes.
They're huge.
Yeah, that last protest I went to, I actually booked that off because I normally work. But yeah, you just have to be there.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
And it's a new. I'm actually from Perth. I'm from Midland in Perth.
Oh, I used to live in Midland.
Yeah, great place. And there's I never knew Perth to have protests like I saw the other day. Not in my time in WA.
Oh, honestly, it was amazing to just be surrounded by like-minded people, because I do feel quite isolated with my my own theories, I guess. And I do try and educate or involve other people in conversations, but yeah, they just really don't. I guess even when I say things, it sounds really just believable. Oh, it sounds like, no, this can't be real when I'm saying it, but I know that it is, and and I'm always like, oh, I'm just gonna put my tinfoil hat on, when I say.
Do you
these
ever
things.
feel when you're at the protests, because we go to a lot of them over here, there's that it actually feels like you're escaping tyranny. It's quite joyous, and everyone gets on. Everyone's lovely and friendly, and everyone's chatting.
It almost felt like a festival. We could have had a couple of drinks, and it would have been a party.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we felt, except of course when they start firing at us. But apart from that, that's what it's like.
No, we were lucky. The police in Perth actually stopped the traffic, and the people in the traffic would have been furious. They were beeping and beeping, but yeah, they just had to wait. They were really helpful. The police. It was a good protest.
Okay, great.
Well, it's good. Kids wake up.
And have you had many protests in Wollongong?
No, the only one that they had was about climate change.
Oh, climate change.
Yeah, that's all they had was climate change. They didn't have anything like that. They're just like, no, we're not doing it. We've only had climate change. That was it.
So they've basically taken it on board pretty easily. Then no one's really kicked up a fuss.
Everyone's just been a bunch of minions and just fell in line.
Wow. Okay.
They just pretty much want to fall in line, and half the time it's just bizarre. But we've had to abide by these lockdowns, these rules, the regulations. We're a little coastal town, but you're starting to find out that people choose to either want to hang out with the vaccinated or not. Yeah. And you're starting to see it in upcoming events. You've got like little night markets and stuff like that you want to get to go to, and you can't take your kids there.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
it's just sad.
Well, the thing is, what effect is it going to have on your children if they're ostracized from community events?
Exactly.
It's just sad. You can't take your kids. Like I could literally hear the showground if it goes off from my house, and my kids are going to be like, Dad, why can't we go there? I want to go there. They've got rides and everything, and lights and everything, and it's just going to be tough. You got to say, look, sorry, Dad can take you if Dad gets jabbed, but Mum doesn't want to get jabbed. It's mum's choice, and mum's lost a job over that. You know, we could either drop the kids off and let them go with someone else, but even that's, you know, not okay to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's everyone knows that. I mean, we've had years now of saying anti-bullying, anti-everything, trying to stop discrimination against all manner of things, because we all know how bad it is, and also about anti-bullying and everything like this. I just find it astonishing that we've done all that, and now, sorry, my phone's going off. We've done all
I
that.
agree, Michael. I find that as well. I talk to people about these things, and they just like don't have any sort of passion to stop the discrimination either. They just want to turn a blind eye and make their life like with no confrontations. You know, they just want to carry on. But I'm like, doesn't that fire you up? Isn't it firing everyone up, or is it just me?
No.
It makes you wonder if any of it resonated with anybody, or were they just mouthing it, you know, and trying, because every job I had, you had to do discrimination courses in the job and anti-bullying courses in the job, not to actually cause trouble. And now that seems to be all gone, you know.
Yeah, they seem to like make excuses to justify why it's okay to treat us like so hatefully, and just so blatantly hatefully. It just blows my mind.
Are you noticing how they're using language like freedom now? Well, it's not freedom, but they're using freedom. We had an army official talking about how they're sweeping forward to freedom by getting everyone to comply. Integrity now seems to mean compliance and silence, rather than actually what you guys are doing, where you're actually standing your ground, which to me seems to be
but
what
we're
both
being
of you are doing.
selfish. Apparently what we're doing is selfish, which blows my mind, because not putting something into my body doesn't seem selfish to me. It seems selfish for somebody to want to do that to my body.
Yeah. I've just got another guy coming on. Is it? Just 2-6. And so that's the other thing too, because the thing is now also, you've got to teach your kids what to do if you're being bullied, and basically the lesson of the country now is if you're being bullied, then bend over and just take it. Don't stand up against a bully. That's what that's what the state's saying, even though to me it goes against everything I stand for. But don't you think that's sort of what it's saying?
Yeah.
You know, in a way. Yeah.
I'm constantly lecturing my 13-year-old about all of this, you know, because he's probably. I am worried they do have a law where if you're over 12 that they can make their own decisions. Apparently, there's a whole process for that. But
that's over here now. So an experienced vaccinator can decide in a quick chat whether your 12-year-old is mature enough to have vaccination. There's a guy behind my back. He's a good friend of mine called Anthony Burge. He's a streamer, and we're going to bring him on because as we talk about this level of cruelty from the system, he's got an interesting story to tell. So feel free to stay on air.
Yeah.
Hey, Anthony, how are you?
Hey, guys.
And don't say good. Yeah, we're okay, but don't say good.
Definitely seen better days.
Yeah, now, Anthony, I'll let you fill them in. Fill them in just quickly. Tell them what's going on.
Yeah, quick rundown. Basically, I checked into St. Vincent's yesterday to seek treatment for my Crohn's disease. I need emergency surgery to clear up some internal infection. And I got the hassle of the mask, the tests, and the vaccination status straight away. I was told I wasn't going to be hassled about that with phone calls prior to making my way to the hospital, as they always do. Got in there, and basically I've seen the surgical team at 2:30 in the morning. Keep in mind, I was made to wait outside in the cold for over 6 hours because I was unmasked and unjabbed. So from 4:30 in the afternoon to about 10:40 at night, they made me wait outside in the cold.
How much do you weigh, Anthony? Tell them how much you weigh.
Between 60 and 65 kilos.
That's because of the Crohn's disease. Yep.
Jeez.
So it's not much of me. I was originally brought in about 7:30. They put an IV in my arm and asked me some general questions. I got about a 15-minute lecture on my vaccination status and why I should be having it. And I know for a fact that the doctor that was seeing me was providing me false information, trying to fearmonger me into taking this vaccine. And he was saying to me that in Melbourne alone, the hundreds of people my age were dying from COVID every single day. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I've checked, there's only been 5 people under the age of 60 that have died from COVID in the whole 20 months, let alone the hundreds every day in their 20s that this doctor had told me last night. So he's clearly providing false information to push an untested product onto people, which is negligence right there. It's quite disgusting. I seen the surgical doctor at about 2:30 in the morning, and he flat out told me, because he asked me my vaccination status, and obviously I said I'm on
Wait up. Let's have a drum roll. I wish I had a drum roll before we announce what you're going to say next, because this is everything that is absolutely wrong. This is a line in the sand moment. So you're going to hear a lot about Anthony, because the independent news that's rising up, that we're a part of, is going to go ballistic with this. They're waiting up to do it. But Anthony, let's have this sad drum roll. Tell them what the surgeon said.
Yeah, the surgeon asked me about my vaccination status, and I said that I wasn't vaccinated. And he said that I won't be allowed into the theatre unless I'm vaccinated, because the fact that if they open me up, I might spread COVID everywhere. So basically, he told me in plain, clear as day, if you are unjabbed, you cannot receive surgery. That's it. You're cut off.
Welcome
I've been
to
warning
Australia.
people. I've been warning people about this. Sorry, for months and months and months. And
Wow.
I didn't think myself that it would come here this quickly. I thought this would be a problem for next year. But we're already here late October, and it's already here. Unless you are jabbed up, you will not receive surgery. Doesn't matter what the surgery is, you won't receive it. Now, I can't speak for every hospital, obviously, but this is at St. Vincent's Hospital in Melbourne. And I ended up checking myself out of there at about 10 o'clock this morning, because they brought me in for a CT scan. Actually, before I get to that, I'll give you a bit of context as to what happened this morning at St. Vincent's. Prisoners that get brought in get treated better than what I was this morning. I wake up after about an hour of sleep at about 8 o'clock, 8:30, and I wake up to 2 barricades. This is at an emergency. Woke up to 2 barricades on either side of my emergency cubicle, and I had security and 2 other medical staff, nurses, doctors, whatever, literally standing right against my curtain. The second I opened my curtain, they were blocking up, where you going, where you going, where you going. They escorted me to a toilet, which was 4 feet away. They had my own little section cut off like I was a prisoner. I wasn't allowed outside. I wasn't allowed to go for a walk. I wasn't allowed to do anything. And the guys came in around 9:30-ish to bring me in for a CT scan. And they tried forcing the face mask, the face shield on me, and were demanding that I get tested as well. But that wasn't even the start of it. Then they said, look, you're unvaccinated for one. You're not allowed to be getting these CT scans or MRI procedures done without being vaccinated, because you could spread COVID all over the machines. So straight away there, they basically cut me off from getting any procedures and scans or tests without being vaccinated. So I'd said to him clear out, I said, are you gonna treat me at all? Are you gonna give me the surgery I need? Are you going to do this CT scan on me? Are you going to give me an MRI or any other procedures like this or scans like this? And they said, not until you're vaccinated. So I said, well, there's no point in me being here because I'm not getting vaccinated, so I'm going to check myself out. because otherwise I'm just a prisoner doing nothing. And I hung around the city for a couple of hours today. I went down to Parliament House, just around the corner from St Vincent's, and sat around and joined the protest for a few hours and just sat down there and relaxed, and then waited for my family to come into the city to get me a lift over to the Austin hospital. Now, a good friend of mine called up. Well, I went live after I left St Vincent's Hospital this morning and explained the situation. And a good friend of mine seen the live and called up a bunch of hospitals around the Melbourne suburbs area. And they found one hospital that said that I was allowed in without wearing a mask, that the exemption was okay and I wouldn't have to be vaccinated. That was the Austin Hospital. I went there this afternoon around 4:30, and I got the same crap straight away and was told that if you're not vaccinated, you won't get into theatre. So that's where we're at here in Australia, here in Melbourne. Medical apartheid is right here, right now. People have been denying this for months. And there's even been people in the movement that are denying that we get this far. It's this far right here, right now. It's affecting people like myself and others that are a lot sicker than myself. People are going to die from decisions like this, neglecting and splitting the public in two. It's absolutely appalling that we've gotten to this point. And I guess my question is, what can we do to stop this? To be honest, I'm not really sure.
Well, can I stay there? But just before you go on, Anthony, I don't want to stop your thing. Now, one thing is, Anthony's not a one-off case. In the last few days, I've had people from New South Wales telling me they can't get their cancer treatments. They can't get this. They can't get it. Their cancer treatments. They can't get their cancer treatments because they haven't complied. Now, secondly, doctors sign a Hippocratic oath. I think that's what you say. There's this, where they are supposed to just try and save lives no matter what. No matter what the person has done, whether it's a serial killer. This goes against the very core of their profession. It doesn't make any sense. And the hospital you're in is called St. Vincent's. Now, we've got a lot of religions in this community, but the good majority is based on Christian fundamental principles. And one of the most fundamental principles are derived, and I'm not overtly religious, are derived from the teachings of Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ hugged the lepers. He would not approve of this. And this is why we're calling it a spiritual war, because everything that's happening is going against the core fundamental caring principles of who we are as Australians.
I completely agree. Yeah.
That is what's happening right now. And there's going to be a price for it. Sorry, Anthony, go ahead.
I was to say, humanity needs connection. We need to be close. We need to thrive off each other. And the government is putting us in a position where a lot of society believe that we need to segregate from each other and divide each other and stay apart. Humans need connection. We cannot survive without it.
That's right. We also survive as a society by caring for people. I've done caring jobs. You care. Aaron's wife used to work in nursing homes. We care for people. That's what it does. We don't leave those who we don't understand or those who have issues or medical problems behind. We care for them. That's what we do as a species.
That's it. When one falls down, the rest picks them up.
Yeah. And we don't just ostracize and discard people. And if you go through history and find any country that does do apartheid, the country gets broken because of it. Its soul gets infected, like Israel, South Africa. This is how it is. Look at Rwanda, where they're turning on each other. Apartheid leads to nowhere good. So I'm saying this to say, what are we going to do? My suggestion is we have to get back to start discussing who are we as Australians? What does being Australian actually mean at its core fundamental principles? Forget about bills and rights. Just as its core, oh, she's gone. Its core fundamental principles, what does it actually mean? What are your thoughts? I'll start with Aaron. What are your thoughts, Aaron, of what we can do to stop this? Oh, sorry. I muted you because of your kid. Sorry, man.
My 8-year-old son, he's autism and just had a bit of an outburst. So sorry about that.
That's all right. No worries, man.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. How can we make a change? Actually speak freely on platforms like this. How can we make change? People, very, very smart people, will make their own choice and they get judged for it every day. And it's sad. And it's sad to see that, yourself, mate, that you're stuck in this predicament. You can't get the stuff you need to you can't have the medical operation and everything to keep yourself going. So you've either got to sacrifice yourself, and people just shouldn't do that. How can we make things better? The best thing to make things better is by everyone to stand together. We're a bigger number than them. How many people are in all these jobs like Dan and Dominic and whoever else, all these premiers and all that? There's only, 40, 50 of them? There's the whole population of Australia. We all actually stand up and actually say, hey, no. No jab. We don't want it. But the people that have got it, they're even worried that they've got to get a third and a fourth. And they're saying that, they're not too sure if there's like a fifth or any other jabs like that. It's just a bit iffy. Like I know family that they've got their 2 jabs, they're fine. Like my 10-year-old daughter, she's going to go get hers. She lives with us and she's going to go get hers tomorrow. And we're even a bit worried. We're like, well, we're going to have to monitor you and make sure you're all right. And because she's only a small little thing, she's probably, you said you were 60, 66 kilos or something. She's probably not even that. She's probably about 40. She's about 40, When they go to give someone the jab, this is probably one thing that it's just me thinking this, but how much of the amount do they give you? Do they go by your body mass index? Do they go by your weight and everything? Do they give the same person that's 180 kilo?
It's a good question. Goes across the board, or do they go on your body weight? I wouldn't know because I'm not vaccinated. I don't plan on getting vaccinated. It's a good question.
No, because that's the thing that I'm a bit worried about. Like, your body weight. Like, you could be a 140 kilo bloke and get the jab, and no worries. But you could be a 40 kilo, 25 kilo,
62 kilo Crohn's disease sufferer.
Yes, and you've already got, how should I say, shit in the mix. And you know what I mean? Like my partner, she survived through cervical cancer and bacterial meningitis, and that nearly killed her. And we proved them wrong. We ended up having kids, but the thing was, how are we going to make it change? People have just got to stop living under a rock. Really, just wake up. This is not okay. We all grew up in none of this jumping through rings. I never did. Did you?
No.
Now my kids have got to do this, and my autistic son, I've got 2 sons, 6 and 8, and they want to go down the beach, they want to go to the park, they want to go play, and we're just like, nah, I'd rather just you go play somewhere else. So you can't go to the park. But Dad, we want to go to the park. No, mate, it's just too much of a risk.
I might just come back. Sorry, Aaron. I might just come back to, just because we've got to finish, because I know other bloggers want to talk to Anthony. Anthony, what are your suggestions on what we can do? And before everyone cocks up, I've seen Anthony in the marches with me, even before we started up a relationship. His body might be frail, but he is an extraordinarily brave young man. Because when he goes out to these marches, if the police did what they do to a lot of other protesters, he could actually die because his body's not built for it. But he still goes there and he streams what's going on. He's an extraordinarily brave young man. Now, just going on about integrity, just before I give you this, there's when life can be very, very, very tough. This is from a play I wrote. It can be very, very tough. It takes and it takes, and just when you think you got nothing left to give, it comes along and it takes that too. And finally, having the ability to live with yourself can be the last precious thing you have. And there's a lot of people who don't want to give that up, which is why there could be vaccine hesitancy or whatever. And that's what I see in you. It looks like you've done it really tough, and you've got your integrity, and you don't feel like bending over, which is what I admire. Now, from that standpoint, Anthony, what is your advice to our country of how to get back to somewhere where things made moral sense?
Well, basically, we've got to change things from the top, right at the tippy top. You know, I go to almost all these protests and I hear one chant that, don't get me wrong, not that I disagree with it, but I think it's not completely accurate. The whole sack Dan Andrews chant. Mm-hmm. What's that going to achieve? He's a puppet. It's going to be the next idiot that gets brought in. We've got to change the system. The whole system is a complete overhaul. Everything's got to be scrapped. These Liberals, Labor, the Greens, all that sort of shit, it's got to go. There's no point sacking one person because we don't like what he's done the last 20 months. Then the next idiot comes in and does the exact same thing. We're going to from the top. And even with these protests, we've got to change our mentality and stop focusing on Daniel Andrews. We're going to focus on the system.
I agree.
That's what's wrong at the moment.
There's other people
as far
agreeing
as what we can do ourselves in the community, we've got to, lots of different things come to mind as far as even just getting more community groups out there in the local communities out in the suburbs, the far east, northwest suburbs. We've got to do this every day possible. Get out there, little communities. We don't need massive, big protests. We don't need 30,000 going to the Westgate Bridge to make a point, although they did make a good point.
That made a great point.
Sorry, I'm just checking my volume. It's just...
No, your volume's great from here, mate. Yeah. But I'll wrap you up because I know Morgan wants to talk to you, and there'll probably be other bloggers coming through too. But I think you're right. So you're saying your system change. Did you know what? It's like this is the first time Aaron and I have been on, and Blues had to go feed her baby. Her baby was crying. We have to talk. They're trying to make us not being allowed to talk. We have to talk. Democracy, free speech is the free speech is what democracy is built on. We must talk. Even if you don't want to go to a protest, start talking. Start talking. This is our country. It's a country we were given, country we can give to our kids. We are not just sheep to be led along. Talk.
Exactly.
It's sad.
Yeah. Anthony, I'm going to stay on the line just to watch this without, because I know you're busy. Aaron, it's great to meet you, mate. Hopefully one day meet you again, and I will chat to you over the time, because you're a great bloke. Blues, if you're out there, Blues, you simply rock, and I'd love to hear updates. Anthony, when we were at the march, when we were at the thing today, there's a violinist I met. He's a very accomplished violinist, and I said to him, he said, I want to help. What can I do? He said, you know what we need? I want you to redo the Australian national anthem, if you can do it, and make it sound like a ballad, like the heart of the country is breaking, and like it's this. And I thought he said, yeah, I'll give it a crack. I thought he'd take weeks. He got back to me just literally an hour before the show started. Now, I had Monica Smith on here the other day. Monica Smith spent 3 weeks in jail, being arrested for basically incitement. It was all bullshit. She was political prisoner. Oh, he's gone too. And she said what Australians don't get to do is they don't get to think, because they're always doing stuff. They don't get time to think.
Distracting.
So I've actually put his music to just some slow-mo, some waves. So we're going to go out on 1:30 or so of just listening. Stay in the studio, mate. Of just listening to music and waves. In Australia, I'm just going to bring it up now. just before we started. Australia, this is our gift from Anthony and you tonight. Yeah, don't look at your phones, don't look at this. Just close your eyes or watch the screen and just spend a minute to listen to this incredibly beautiful song, this incredibly beautiful music, of what it meant, of who we are, of what's happening, and is there anything we can do to change it? This is what we're asking you. We don't have the answers ourselves. This is what we're asking you. Anthony, I'm with you 100%, mate. I'm with you 100%. We're going to see you get through this, okay? So good luck with all the other blogs today. Stay in the studio. Australia, listen to this beautiful music. And the guy's name is in it. I have a bit of trouble pronouncing it, but I will learn. Take care, everybody. And refuse to hate. Don't let them... They're trying to get us to hate each other. Don't let them do it. Good night.